Hello and welcome to India Today. I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
And this is Maruti Acharya, and we just completed watching a Malayalam film, Alappuzha Gymkhana. Am I doing it right? Yeah. Okay. So before getting into the details, Sanjay, what was your experience watching the film?
This is the best boxing that I've seen in a film, including every Hollywood film that you would take. This is the best boxing I've seen in a film.
Okay.
Again, let me be clear, not the best boxing film, but the best boxing I've seen in a film.
Okay. Yeah, my experience while watching the film is definitely it is not a perfect film, and for me personally, it is not up to the level of Tallumala, but the unconventional storytelling and the choices and the breezy slice of life kind of presentation really impressed me, giving me a whole satisfactory feeling in the end. Let's get into the details. What works?
For me, like I said, expanding upon that, the boxing really works for me. It was just amazing to see the way the sport was being presented in the film. To an extent where I felt like that is where the idea of a film started, and from there it went on towards becoming a film. The way how to present boxing, I think I've never seen it being presented in such a beautiful manner. Right from the actors' performances, the effort they've put in to master the choreography of boxing, the way it is presented, the camera angles, the music running in the background. Man, oh man, it was like, personally, I'm a huge sucker for combat sports, be it boxing, mixed martial arts, all of that. It felt like I was sitting there and watching an actual fight, and I was like rooting for this guy, do that, do this. I was fully invested in the fight like I would be in a real fight. And I feel like that is the biggest high for me in this film.
I agree to what Sanjay said, despite of me not having enough knowledge about combat sports, but I can sit, enjoy and look, root for them. Cinematically, I can watch it and enjoy. But what really works for me is the unconventional presentation that I previously mentioned. This is not your regular underdog story. This is not your regular sports drama where there is passion to sport, there is something to achieve, there's a lot of stakes. No, it is bunch of boys, young boys with a very unconventional motive also to get into a sport like this. But them figuring out the sport, their life, whether they will fit into that or not, what is the bigger purpose, it is just your fly on the wall in their life where they are going through this 1 to 1.5 years of journey where they took this new route of learning boxing. So it was so fresh, unique. The idea itself, the story, despite of it having so many flaws, the idea itself is so fresh, and the presentation, the sports, the technical departments. I think Khalid Rahman really knows how to get work out of his technicians.
Right.
Starting from the way things are shown, captured, elevated, edits, everything is spot on, giving me a very beautiful feeling while walking out of the theatres.
I'd like to emphasize on the kind of efforts the artists put in this, because you could see in the film that they were actually taking those punches. All those knockouts, you can see the connection, you can see it land. It's not just, a usual action sequences where the punch will miss. And it's the camera's magic where it makes you feel like it did hit. And even for the close-up shots where they show the connection, it is just a connection there. But in this film, you could actually see the whole motion of the punch and the shots hitting the mark, them getting legit knocked out. You can see the move, the jaw, all of that, and these are things that you actually see in a fight when when you look at those slow motion shots of people getting knocked out. So kudos for all of them for taking it well on the chin and not figuratively speaking, literally speaking.
A 50-year-old lady was sitting beside me, and when we were watching, especially with that Naslen fight, right, those punches when they land, I think 3-4 times she's like, ooh. She was invested in the fight. Not just that fight, in so many fights. And I think one of my favorite fight is, if I'm getting the character's name right, Sirte. So that character, I think, the one with the blonde hair, the whole arc, the whole fight, the choreography, everything about that fight is so beautiful. And I think even the climax Tallumala kind of fight also, I think it is good, but this fight was exceptional. If you agree, mention that in the comments below.
Talking a bit about the technicalities in the film, right from the camera work to the music, the background score, all of it really worked and helped elevate the whole, elevate the film, because they were also core elements of this output. So kudos to them as well, especially the cinematography. I just love that.
Yeah. So DOP Jimshi understood the assignment properly because
And proper work has gone into it.
Exactly.
A lot of homework,
Research.
a lot of staging, them practicing all those moves. It's not easy to catch all of that in a
Yeah.
camera. All the moves.
Training, research from the technical departments also, not just the actors. Because if you actually notice it, I personally felt like every fight, like there are a lot of boys, right? So every boy has an individual fight happening. So every fight has a different kind of treatment based on the stakes, the seriousness. Some come out of nowhere. The way the scenes are treated, according to the emotional stakes, the camera angles, they understood the assignment. I think they did a lot of research on what works, what doesn't work, what really gives you that feeling, where that is necessary, and that is beautifully executed with camera. And Vishnu Vijay's music also, like dum dum dum, the beat just gets higher and suddenly it will fall. The sound design also, props to the sound design team. Really impressed with the technical departments.
Now, talking about the drawbacks, and I will further enunciate on why I said that this is the best boxing I've seen in a film, but not the best boxing film. See, again, as a combat sport lover, in any boxing film or any combat sport film, the main thing is the passion for the sport. Which is why I would go to an extent of not calling this a sports drama, but a slice of life with sports integrated into it. There is no real passion towards boxing being shown, even from the coach. We saw all the beautiful boxing moments inside the ring.
Yeah.
But we didn't really see what happens outside.
Correct.
Boxing is a lot more than just what is happening
Correct.
inside the ring. So none of that was reflected upon, which is why this falls under a slice of life film more than a drama.
For me, some calls on the writing table felt a little underwhelming. Let me give you an example. The way Deepak character handles the pre-climax sequence, for the people who watched it, the character takes a drastic turn. The turn makes sense. It is justified. Everything falls into the picture, but the way the character, the build-up is led to that scene is underwhelming, because there is some amount of humor induced into it, there is some amount of, so there are different emotions induced into it where it is lost in it, and the character takes that decision where you're supposed to understand and sympathize. You kind of feel like, why on earth is he doing this? So there are moments where there is some random comedy introduced. See, the comedy is good, but is it necessary in that sequence? I don't think so. Some portions where it is going on a funny note and suddenly it will hit an emotional note. I'm like, why is this happening? So these calls on the writing table, it is not like the direction side, from the writing side itself. These things are visible, which might pull down the experience of the overall film.
For whatever it was, the film really worked in the way it is as it is. But one thing that I would have really appreciated being in the film is more depth to the characters, so that we understood them more. This film was just about a gang of boys who just picked up a hobby. From that hobby they went into a competition, and then the competition happened. Whatever happened there. It's all fun and entertaining, no doubts about it. But it felt like after watching the film and after that adrenaline rush came down, I was sitting there and thinking, okay, but was there really a story here?
Okay.
It was a very simple premise.
Yeah, the story, I agree with you with the part that the story is paper thin. There is a very simple premise. But the contradiction part for me is the call of not exploring so much of individual arcs, but sticking to the fact that it is Alappuzha Gymkhana from the title. So the boys, the group is the core. So how much is required for me to feel when they are fighting? I think that much is what they've done, because sometimes there is a possibility too much of getting into emotional arcs or building the character might lose the essence. Especially if you think about the first half. First half is full of emotions and some practice. It is mostly building on the characters. So it is slow, it is steady. So that is the reason why it feels slow and steady. The second half packs the punch because it is full of fights and drama and all of that. So if this also gets extended to the second half, even second half might feel laggy or slow, or it might pull down the pace of it. So for me personally, I feel that call works.
Here and there, you decide which side you're on. Since you brought the first half, I actually felt that the first half was a bit of a lag, especially given that, in the second half, everybody is showcasing their skills. But the first half, there was little to none scenes dedicated towards, showing them getting those skills.
Okay.
You only saw a 1 and a 2.
Yeah, the practice is generic.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But then, while they were in the fight, you could see them using more combinations. You could see them moving in a certain way. As soon as they got to the state levels, you could have seen them using a 3 and a 4 and all of that. But that was not shown in the first half. The first half was all about boys and girls and chilling and things happening and things not happening.
Also, for me, I personally felt that in the second half, especially, coach character played by Lukman was criminally underutilized. I understand the motives, especially in the climax when there's a monologue of that character. So when that was happening, I felt like a lost opportunity, especially in the second half, because everybody wants something to happen, but it feels like nobody's putting enough effort to change from game to game. I feel like they were just playing with what they know. But when they're seeing each players, it didn't feel like it is a step-by-step progress within the game itself. So for some people it might work, but for some people it might, and for me it didn't, especially with the coach character.
But then again, this is all us nitpicking after we watch the film, and like I mentioned, after the adrenaline of the film it left us with. But then again, it has to be mentioned that props to the film, because we weren't really thinking about these things as soon as the film got over, because we enjoyed it that much.
Irrespective of the points that we have mentioned, this is a brilliantly executed film with good moments, a very slice of life feel, but also technically sound film. So
It's not heavy. It's not like you need to get up with passion and fire and, drive to go to the gym or something like that. It's just about the fun the boys had over there.
And if you think about it, it is also like a satire and a metaphorical presentation of this generation also, if you actually think about it. Because if you look at our previous generation and us, I personally feel we lack that zeal of doing it or having passion. We are spread across a lot of things, but passion towards one thing and being dedicated, I think we as a generation majority lack. I think this movie also with those angles play on
a general level. There are people, of course, on a general level. Yeah.
So overall, this is our opinion of the movie Alappuzha Gymkhana. Firstly, forgive us if we mispronounced Alappuzha Gymkhana. We tried our level best to get Alappuzha. So yes, we tried to get it right. Hope you liked it. Also the review. What do you think about the movie? Did you like it? Please mention that in the comments below.
With that, I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
And this is Maruti Acharya and you're watching India Today.